Society in general.
Oh, okay. Because some of us value education and every bit of information that we can get our hands on, and others turn their nose at it. So I feel like society.
Hold that thought.
Ready for this topic, okay? She
Yeah.
she said, baby, I went to sleep and knew I was gonna be in this topic today.
She
Okay,
just
Aquarius
relaxed,
girl,
studied, got her pen out, got her notebook
for
out, got the
real.
computer
Listen,
on. Like what?
I'm outside listening
Mama,
to the birds, but when you
yes,
said society, I was like, I think we need to define it
He
because
was.
right now I don't feel like I'm part of society.
Oh, but you are. I mean,
baby
society in
girl,
general.
mama
But
said let me go.
we gonna get into it.
Oh,
Well, she came in ready. Okay.
Look, I didn't know I was coming into a war zone. I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute, hold on. Let me take a look
she
at
said,
this."
like, clock that tea for real. She said, oh, don't worry,
Right.
baby. I'm drinking tea with the birds anyway.
And the
Right, me and
oddity
the
in
birds
that,
are asking.
yeah, the oddity in that statement though is that I'm a part of human resources, and a lot of times they look at education.
I wasn't ready.
That
I
was
wasn't
too
ready.
funny.
Welcome to 31 Voices, everybody. Where, we have unique perspectives come together to make sense of the world we live in. I'm your host, Diamond Travel. We have Aquarius, Tawanda, Miss Harris Smile, Mama Nisa, and Tamika Lovebug Central. And today we're going to dive deep into a necessary conversation why society often view academics or academia in a negative light. Is it the cost, the culture, the pressure, or something more than that? Whether you're a student, a graduate, or someone who stepped out of the academic path entirety, this episode is for you. So let's break down the stigma, hear from real people, and talk about the power and limitations of the academic world. Let me define academia right quick, and then I'm gonna let y'all go. Yeah, cause y'all ready. Y'all got your foot on the gas. So, okay, academia, the environment or community concerned with the pursuit of research, education, and scholarship. Academias refer to the world of universities, colleges, and people involved in it. Particularly in this context of teaching and research, it encompasses the environment and activities associated with higher education and scholarship. The term can also refer to the academic community as a whole. Question: do you think the education system is outdated or still relevant in 2025? Why or why not? Okay, Aquarius, you got the floor, honey. Go.
Well, I'll try to be less spicy, but I always think education is outdated because every day you wake up, science is the best it's ever been, even if it means what we knew yesterday was wrong. Yeah, I'm trying to so I'm long-winded, but I don't want to be spicy. But yes, simply put, I do think education is outdated in
Well, be
various
you.
ways.
Be you. I mean, speak. You can
Well,
speak.
so by the time you go in for a degree and you come out in that field, whether it be computer science, if it be law, if it be a physician, whatever it is that you want to be, there's something new by the time you graduate. So what you learned in the beginning may no longer be valid. Um, so I'm not sure how to really curb that as you go along because you can't teach a teacher something new for a curriculum in the middle of their class, nor start someone over at the end of their degree plan. But yes, I absolutely feel it's a bit outdated.
Okay. Well, me personally, I'm that one who pretty much like stepped off the academy path. I mean the academic path. Like I backstory, and I told Mika about this the other day. Like during the pandemic, I was going to school for my accounting degree, and because it was everything was online, as y'all know, I'm more of a visual in class type of person, and my instructor was acting as if I was fresh out of high school. No, I'm in my 50s. You need to break stuff down to me. Like, I'm not that person, but they made me feel,
Less than a
they
person.
made me feel dumb.
Yeah.
because they wasn't giving me what I needed, and so I just settled for the certificate and said that's it. I'm done. I'm not doing this. And that
mm.
ended it for me. And I was like, I'm not going back. That's it.
That's real. Because there is, I feel like it's either you're forced into education or you choose it. That's my
Mhm.
first thought. And I think what happens is there's a thin line between both because it depends on what you are exposed to and what you're not exposed to. You know, I chose to get my BA and my master's. That was a choice that I chose. But education wasn't deemed to be all and you can get whatever you want in life. It wasn't something that was placed on me that it was going to help my future. That wasn't told to me at all. I just knew education became my scapegoat. I was able to go out into the world and learn something new and get exposed to opportunities that I never got a chance to get exposed to. That's why I chose education. And I think that's the problem. There's such a thin line between what education can bring you and the other pieces like cost, like the people that are encouraging you to even take advantage of it. You know, several things like that. Go ahead, Mama Tawanda.
Mhm.
You did step out of order, baby. So
Oh,
no.
there's no
There's
order.
no order.
I'm teasing, Diamond. I'm
See,
teasing
you're
her.
my
I'm sorry.
business. I like
Let me
that for
let me
you.
start off with this. Let me start off with this. I'm teasing little one down there. I apologize.
She said little one.
The little one is diabolical.
Yes, she
This is a
knows who she is.
respectful place, not too
She
much
knows who
on
she
me.
is. You're not gonna point your finger. She knows who she is. But in all honesty, the main thing is number one, education has not changed its style or mythology in the last 200 years. Has not. It's changed tool sets, meaning that we now are using computers. We're now doing that, but we are still we are still teaching in the same manner. We're teaching to test. If that makes any sense to anybody, we're teaching to have someone pass a test rather than actually learn the how, the whys, and the different avenues, the different ways that you can learn ideas rather than I'm having you memorize 1 plus 1 equals 2, 2 plus 2 equals 4, 4 plus 4 equals 8. But that's all I'm telling you. I'm not giving you the whys, the hows, and the whats. I'm not demonstrating
There's
to you
no purpose behind it.
why this works in the manner that it works. And
Correct.
also, I'm not providing you the ability to look at it from an outside diameter, right?
Very
Now, the
correct.
thing about education, the thing about academia, it's a beautiful thing. I've gotten my bachelor's, I've gotten my master's. I did what I was supposed to do. I was going to go on to get my doctorate, and I just said, no, I'm not going to do it. Because number one, I'm not going to place any more money into society because that's all they collected from me. I didn't garner anything back from it. The education and my academia actually came through my job field. It came in when I was doing the work. It came in when I was had the ability to place my hands in the dirt or in the trenches or whatever you want to call it. I didn't learn anything until I did that. And at that point, what I was learning in what I called or deemed the war zone at that time was everything you taught me is not working. Everything you taught me doesn't work for this child or this child or this child. So I literally had to step out of public
Yeah,
school. I went to
you
corporate
do.
America.
100%.
But even in that realm, somebody said they were non-divergent. They're just adding that into the hiring process to understanding an entity or an individual, right? So nothing about academia at this time is worthy or valuable for anything because I paid $10,000, $15,000, $25,000 to receive absolutely nothing. But I will also say this one last thing is that when we go into the hiring process, if you got the dynamics of that certification, if you got the dynamics of those degrees, they're saying, oh, this person stuck it out. They were able to complete something from one sector to another sector. That's all that paper says, that you were able to stand in it and complete it. Not that you've learned anything, Not that you're bringing any value in there other than some letters behind your name. Not that you're able even to do the job. It just said that you stuck it out. So I have a little problem with academia. I have a little problem with the idea of it because this should be a gift that we give to someone that has the ability to complete. It should be just a gift. If you have the ability to go and you complete 12th grade, okay. So now we're going to move you on to the next level. If you have the ability to complete your whether they started at the associates or whether they started at bachelor's, if you have the ability to complete it, okay, we're going to gift you the ability to move on to the next level. But we need to implement real world. So
We
part
do,
of your degree
100%.
needs to be probably 50% more of activity in what you are
Actually going on studies
what you
for.
actually take in your direct
Yeah.
degree, and it should be 50% actual input in the realness of what it is that you're getting. I'm gonna shut up now.
Can I say
Thank
something?
you.
Because
That
I
is
don't
totally
have a degree at all. Um, and I was just listening to, like, I think it's dope that everybody here has some experience. I don't have a degree other than graduating college, high school, I mean. But I'll tell you this, listening to what Miss Tawanda said, 95% of what I know how to do, I went in and trained for it. I was there watching. I'm more of a visual learner. I'm a copy and paste kind of a learner because that's what they teach you in school is how to do it so you can see it and you can mock it. I learned later that I had to teach myself how to do it, and it came from a lot of different sources. 95% of whatever work it is that I learned how to do, I did it on the job. Sitting in a classroom, it just doesn't work for me. And I also just learned that apparently I'm like high functioning ADHD, and y'all have heard me say before, I'm a very responsible teenager. But I don't learn that way. So for me, college was terrifying because here's 4 more years of me struggling to understand what you're saying to me unless you have a teacher or somebody that cares enough to take that time and be one-on-one with you to explain it. Something my dad taught me, which he didn't realize was terrible, was learn it, test it, dump it. And I did that. Well, when you dump it and you got to go and apply it, we have a problem because I
right.
tested and I'm a terrible, like I have horrible testing anxiety, even at almost 40. I don't feel good. I feel very stressed. But if you put me in the field, I was really good in retail. I just liked talking to people. I was terrible at the little exams and the little, hey, what did you learn from this? I don't know, but I did tell this lady that her outfit looked good, and I gave her 5 different reasons why, and she came back looking for me because I connected with the person, and I'm here doing it. So I'm not ever gonna. My grandmother was a teacher for I don't know half of my life or more. And I do believe education plays a very necessary part. But again, to what Ms. Tawanda was saying, they're not teaching us that. They're still teaching kids from books that were written before I was born. There are, and then when they do change things, like they switched math, I am not the auntie to come to for math. I don't know what that is. I know long division. I know addition, subtraction. The tic tac toe table was the last thing I saw 15 years ago, and I was like, I don't even know what's happening here. I was distraught and confused because my baby needed my help, and I could not help. I don't know what we're doing. So I say all that to say, I think education comes in many parts, but Ms. Tawanda's right. For most people, especially I feel bad for saying this, but especially kids in the era that my friends are having children, everything they do, they're doing it, right? Like electronics, they're actually doing it. They teach themselves. But sitting most of these kids in a classroom, they don't have the comprehension. And then when they do and they take the test, after the test, now what? Because I took the test, now what do I do? Well, now you got to go apply what you learned in the test. But life is not a page of tests. It is physical things happening to you. How do I do this? What happened to my car? What does that look like? Right? Like I have to be able to explain that to you. And most of the time, if you're a test taker and you do well at it, it's in my experience that you don't necessarily do the best interacting with people. So you have to have a balance of both so you can know how to do both. You can know how to read it and then translate it into the real world.
Mika, I know you've been waiting. uh, okay. All right.
I'll wait. I'll
No,
wait.
she said she'll wait. I know she's transporting right now.
Oh, okay, okay. Boy, this is definitely a subject matter that it's everybody's really going to have like their own really firm opinions about, and and but in understanding and really listening to other people's um, opinions, and how the whether they've got an education or not, what's considered an education. It's very interesting to hear, but for me, education, just like Miss Harris, was a total escape for me from my home life. And so I just threw everything in to studying and, taking accelerated classes and blah, 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 trying to get scholarships. And, but it, so much of, and I don't have a bachelor's degree. I ended up going into the healthcare field and having tons of certifications. I'm not a nurse. I'm not anything like that. But when you can put some of that stuff that you have learned and you did take classes for, that you've got certifications for, that you've done the continuing education for, then that is going to help you to get higher and higher on the level, on a level up at a job, hopefully. But I really think the one thing that could be a better um, is to put it into, so you have book smart and you have like street smart or logic, just your basic logic and how that'll work in a in certain environments. And I wish that there could somehow be, they're not here
Intertwine.
or
Yeah. No,
here, yes, and they
because
become.
I think I honestly agree with you. You need a balance of education, and you need a balance of what society is bringing you. That's just what I feel like that needs to happen. Because let's imagine a world with no education at all. If we was to get rid of academia, and now we're out here looking like nomads trying to figure out how we use a hammer.
Well, that's the
So,
Yes,
best way to learn.
but here's
that's
a, but that's the
some
thing.
cereal.
Right. That's the thing. Okay. We need both. We need a foundational piece that where we learn how to build on something. But the problem is we spend so much time focusing on this brick but not realizing how this brick is made. We was just given a brick. And I think that's what we're
Yes,
not taught. We're not taught to take some information and use it and kind of break it up and try to help us understand what it's supposed to be used for. Just like
yes,
Mama Tawanda said, there's no purpose to the education, but they told us to learn it.
Also, I want to
yes.
add
Being
one
able to
thing
put it
too.
into
When we have
practical application. Sorry
Yeah.
about that, Tawanda.
no, I apologize. What I was getting ready to say though is that what we don't realize, okay, so what Ms. Harris says is that yes, we need academia, but in actuality, initially when academia was even started, when they started the process of schooling, let's go back hundreds of years, it was based off of individuals that specialized in that area from practical matters. So they didn't start off with academia. Academia started off with the individuals that was in the field or whatever they were doing in the sciences or whatever. They have been doing it all along and say, okay, I'm going to be willing to teach you how to do what I've learned over time,
But you
right?
just said that. Somebody has
Right.
to be willing to do it.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But the initial point is what academia didn't start from somebody that was scholar bound. It
I
started
got
from
you.
the individual that was had to learn how to do it.
Hands on.
But another thing, let's talk about IQ and IQ testing. And this is where I said that we've gotten lost in the fact that um, we're not open to different formats of thinking. We're open to cut and paste mythologies. When we are talking about the IQ testing, I'm gonna do something very simple. Something that they discovered many years ago. A cup is to a saucer as a pillow is to a chair. Now, if I've never seen and I wasn't raised in a household that had a cup and a saucer, that would make absolutely no sense to me. right? If
Right.
I look at the four things, which is different, a cat, a lion, a panther, or a dog, my way of thinking might be, wait a minute, hold on, they all got fur, they're all on 4 feet, they all have two eyes, they all have whiskers, they all have tails, so where does that individual thinking to go, oh, wait a minute, maybe it's the dog that's different, but I don't know why.
Right.
Does that make sense? I mean,
It
I'm
does.
trying to make, so you can have all these things, and it's hard for me to take the different perspective if I don't know what these are. So how can I take an IQ test to test my knowledge or test my intelligent quotient when I've never seen the things that they want me to test on? So how do we really test for intelligence? Why can't it be done in a manner where, does this person have the ability to think something all the way through and dissect it, no matter how they have to dissect it? So now we're starting to see that for our non-divergent individuals, for our individuals that have a different way of thinking. Their mind might be segmented towards numerology, right? The numeric pathway. They can do anything with numbers, but their reading levels and their ability to comprehend reading is totally below fourth grade level. However, there's not nothing that they can't do with a number, percentages, whatever we want to look at it. However, they can do calisthenics with numbers. Does that make
But
sense?
don't give it to them in word form.
But don't give it to them in word form.
Can't flip it,
Absolutely.
rub it.
Okay, so Miko, this is your topic. So why does society deem academia as a negative?
I can't answer that question, but what I can tell you is that I learned my story. I went to high school, graduated, went straight to college, got a degree in psychology. I'm working on my eighth degree right now. Got my degree in psychology, worked in the field, completely disliked it, did not like it at all. I mean, ended up having a useless degree for me. Um, so I changed my way of how I was going to do things. So I learned from a lawyer, Jordan Spivak from Maryland. He was like, before committing to something, why don't you go and work in that field and see if it's something that you like? So I've gone from wanting to be a surgeon to a psychologist to a lawyer. Then I figured out after working at the law firm that you really don't make money unless you're a judge. So I was like, nah, I'm not going to do that. Then I changed my field, went to radiology. Then I went into forensics. But let me tell you, I ended up doing something in each of these fields to find out whether or not I was going to like it or not. Then I
Mm-hmm.
ended up getting certifications in certain things. I learned a lot in hospitality. I found out what I was really good at, and I ended up incorporating my psychology degree in hospitality because you have to work with people and figure people out. I also got on the job training with learning how to read body language. I study the human you as a
Anatomy.
whole. You know what I mean? The whole person. I study all of that. Then fast forward to being married, having the opportunity to go back to school, and okay, I'm going to go back to school for nursing. Became a nurse, did that. Life changed, went back into hospitality. COVID happened, went to get a position in a job that I had 20 plus years of experience in, but I did not have the right 4 year degree. That pissed me the fuck off. Excuse my language, but it pissed me off. So then I decided, you know what? I'm going to go back and I'm going to get this business degree. Um, 4.5 years later, I'm now working on my doctorate in healthcare administration. I have my own business. I've learned that my path in life is to help people. I am a healer. That's what I do. I found that sound and frequencies are how I'm able to communicate through crystals. I am a shaman. I am walking in my purpose, but it all came from my thirst for knowledge. I want to know
Mm-hmm.
what it is and why and how. And that's something that you can't teach someone in a classroom. It's something that they have to have that's inside. Um, I can tell you so many people that have gone to school for certain things and literally do something completely different. And is that a waste of their money? No, because they have that credential. I'll put it like that. They have that credential that can get them a position in a field that they may have that's something similar to what they went to school for. But then you always have the opportunity for on the job and continuous education. On the job training to me is some of the best training that you can get because you're learning. I will tell you, as a 2 year nurse, ADN nurse, I knew more than a 4 year nurse did because when I went to school for my 2 year degree, they pumped 4 years of information into 2 years and it was like boot camp. It was worse than boot camp.
Oh, accelerated courses.
You know what I mean? So when you look at that and you look at the letters behind people's names, it comes with, I'm going to say, to me, those letters mean something for me because I've worked my ass off to get my DHA. You know, I have my BSN, ADN, AAAS. I have a BSP.
You got
Just to
all the
go on,
alphabet.
like I got all of the alphabets and then some. But what am I? I'm a shaman.
Mm.
Plain and simple. I'm a shaman and I'm a healer. And I'm incorporating all of that into my business that I have now. So I
And
don't
Mika,
have any regrets for going to school for any of the degrees that I've gotten because they're all intermingled together. But that's only because I'm enlightened, I've opened my mind up and I see the forest beyond the trees and I am neurodivergent. I don't learn the way that other people are. Yes, my IQ is insanely high, but I also have common sense because I grew up in the hood and I am about that life. You know, if y'all really want to
Mika,
know, like I am
you're
about that
funny.
life.
Mika,
Okay.
have you ever?
You
This
know,
is the thing about someone in Mika's instant. The world can say, "Oh," this makes me very angry, right? If they look at Mika, Mika, I want you to forgive me when I start this conversation. So
okay.
say it off. But they look at it, and they can say, "Is she the jack of all trades, master of none, or is she the master of all trades, eloquent in all?" Right? The world also looks and they punish her for saying you don't even have the ability to stick with anything.
Exactly.
They punish her for that. She's actually berated for when you go to any type of collegiate affair, when you go to any type of fair, they look and they say you got this and that and what and where and what, but you didn't complete anything. You've not complete. Instead of looking at the fact that she had the ability to get everything plus 10 more than what you've got. You mastered one area, great. But her fluidity is in several. We punish those for that as well.
Yeah, and that's what brought it up to me was that like I was in a room that I shouldn't have been in because it was low vibrational anyway to begin with. And someone said, "Oh, here comes Dr. So and so." And I'm like, "Not yet, but I will be in about a year and a half." You know? And it was just the condescending tone
The audacity.
of because you're going to school for your doctorate, you act like you're better than us. I don't act like shit. I am who I am,
It's an
you
echo,
know?
Mika. Are
And
you on
and
your
if
headset?
people just can't get it sometimes that you
Mika,
can be educated and be down to earth. You can be in the world of academia and still go to the hood and play basketball with Ray Ray and them. You know, like you can be the president of the United States and still play basketball with some boys over in Southeast DC. I've seen that. You know what I mean? So to me, it's just like people look at education and they're like, she thinks she's better than somebody because she is whatever. I'm just polished. I'm fluid. I'm able to adapt to any situation that I'm in. And that didn't come from a book or a classroom. That came from experience and life and being exposed to many different things based off of where I grew up in DC. You know, like if I grew up in my town where I was born in Gettysburg, I may not be the same person had I not traveled around the world and gotten the experience to get to know other people and to learn different ways and to accept, that people have different um, perceptions of how things are and people have different opinions, and I'm able to have a conversation with you and you and I can agree to disagree and still not talk down to one another,
Absolutely.
you know.
I
And
mean, you
that,
got the braids already, so nuck if you buck. I'm just
yeah,
telling
you
you.
know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, at
don't
Alicia
sleep on
Keys.
my braids. I've been acting different since I got my hair braided, but
Right.
nevertheless,
No,
and
I
I thank you for bringing this topic up, Diamond. You know where I'm at, so I'm going to push mute, and I will be able to insert where I can. But thank you for bringing this topic up. I do have to walk into this building. I am going to stay here, and then as I can, I will walk out and talk. Yes, ma'am. Add you? Okay, I got you. Got you.
That's
Oh
peace,
yeah.
girl.
We all need to add Miss Wanda. If y'all not following her already, y'all go ahead and pick her up.
Listen, Miss
yeah,
Wanda
I'm just
is
Hey
I
Cole,
love her real
we
bad.
haven't seen you in a while. Where have you been besides work?
Me,
Yeah,
uh,
you.
at work. Um,
All right,
See,
girl.
it's a fun thing about easing back into the working world. Um, Apparently,
Ew.
being overqualified for what I do makes people want to make me work a lot.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know if
Yeah,
you know or
I,
not.
I,
I was
I
just
very
saying.
quickly went from like 4 hour shifts to 8 hour shifts.
Okay.
I was literally a week into the job and they have me closing the store by myself. So it's been very crazy. But it's an opportunity to be exposed more to management, and I need that. So I'm just taking the opportunity in stride.
All right. But I just wanted to say, once again, today's topic is why does society deem academia as a negative? That's today's topic here on 31 Voices. Uh, um,
But
so,
I go
go ahead.
ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you good.
No, I just wanted to hear from Cole because, she hasn't been here in a while and I miss her face.
She popped on the screen. I was like, well, her face all bright.
She wakes up like that.
Although
Oh.
I did, I literally just woke up.
Ah.
I did. Yeah, I feel like for me, education's a double edged sword. So in the world that I usually work in, um, a man can do a million things without an education. He could have managed a Starbucks and been able to be deemed suitable for the kind of position that I'm trying to get to. But for a woman, especially a woman of color, I needed 2 degrees, a wealth of experience, and a lot of connections in order to get where they already are just because they look like they can do the job.
Mhm.
But I've also seen it deemed that because I went and like rapidly got all that education, I was trying too hard.
Because you
Like it was
don't.
bad that I
You don't.
pursued all that so quickly.
Wow.
Can I just say, you asked why is it deemed or looked at as negative? And I
Hmm.
think I've heard a few different things, but for whatever reason, because we don't, in my opinion, because we don't have the balance of experience versus just the classroom, um, it kind of goes, to me, it kind of goes back to more historic and not in any way trying to raise bait or anything like that. But I feel like it's negative. It was looked at as negative by, to me, in my experience, from people of color, because if you wanted to be better and you wanted to do more than that deemed you as trying to be better, then versus wanting to know more, right? Like I always got from my grandmother, no less. Oh, the term you talk white, right? Because I grew up in Minnesota versus Chicago where I was born, and then I got looked I had this expectation to go to college and do more, but the other side of it was, well, if you do that, then you think you're better than, or you behave like you're better than.
Oh, yes.
And I feel like they put
Yeah.
that out there to discourage people from wanting to do more or be more or learn more, because the more we all know, the more you know, the more you know. And if I know more than this man who has no experience but just happened to come in and knew the guy that owned it, but if I can outdo his job, well, now I'm trying to do more or do too much.
Or
And so
take
it
his.
gets
Now
looked
you're
at.
trying to take his job.
You're trying to take his job
Mhm.
when in reality, I'm just trying to keep the building from crumbling, and you're not following
Hey, Thomas.
the basics that we should have. So to me, I feel like it's this whole like whirlwind, or this like wrapped up expectation of, please forgive me for saying this bullshit. Like, if I get the education at all, man or woman, if I get the education and I apply or utilize or express my knowledge, well, then I'm doing too much. I want to be a know-it-all. On the other side, if I don't know anything and I'm running around just doing it, well, then that leaves me in a space where you don't know what you're doing, right? So it gets looked at it to me as negative, because if you only have one side of it, um, I don't know why I'm echoing. If you only have one side of it,
It's
and it's
not
the
you.
side where you,
Wanda.
oh, and it's the side where you sat in a room and you learned it, well, then you got the people that have the experience that's like, you don't know what you're talking about. You weren't there. And then if you go in and you just have the experience of hands-on learning, well, you don't have you don't have the knowledge behind how it works. So they look at it, because you really can't win. You have to have thick skin and be okay with the fact that people are going to have something to say about you no matter what. You have to be okay, especially as a woman and a black woman, with recognizing that you're going to be deemed aggressive or a know-it-all or whatever it is. You have to be okay with that. And then once you decide, I'm not okay, I'm okay with that, but you're gonna pay me what I'm worth. You're gonna whatever. Well, now you're coming in, you're trying to take this position, you're trying to be in power when you should be seated over here having kids, right? Like, you can't get away from it. And I think society views it as a negative because it is a way for them to try to keep people from growing. If I stop you from growing and doing better and knowing better, you can't have no money, you can't travel, you can't do these things. I get to pigeonhole you and your lack of whichever side of it, which gives me the right to continue to suppress or oppress you. That's how I see it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mhm.
I think that's why, because if and another part of it is, if I let someone who has both the education and the actual physical knowledge of it get in my space, most of these people operate from a space of fear. Well, now I'm scared you're going to take what little I do have, because you know so much, and now I'm stuck with nothing. So if I stop you from being able to do that by saying, "Oh, you only know this part, or you don't know that part, or you don't know enough," or you make people uncomfortable because you come in a room with the knowledge and the confidence that I actually don't possess, well, now we have a problem. So let me just make everybody look at it as a bad thing. No matter what you do, it's bad.
Her son said she had a manager fire her because she had a higher degree than her. But that's
Like,
Yep.
I had struggles with my last boss because she felt like because we had the same degrees, uh, I guess she thought she was equally capable of doing my job. Now, the piece that she missed was that I've been in the field of strategy since I was 12. I started learning about strategic things when I was 12. So it's where that life experience meets education. And somehow she thought because our education was the same, she didn't know I've been in this industry for probably 26 years. And so she was like, "Oh, I can do her job. Let me push more things on her so she goes away because I can do what she does." And now that I'm gone, she calls me and she's like, "Hey, I don't get it." I was like, "Oh, that's unfortunate. Goodbye."
Because you said you could do my job, so do my
Yeah,
job,
you thought you
please.
could do what I do, so do what I do. And she's like, "Well, it's more than just what I learned in college." I was like, "Oh, is it?
Imagine that.
That's crazy."
Diamond, I'm going to drop and come back because I don't know why I have an echo. Echo? Can you
are
save
you
my?
wearing are you yeah, are you wearing earbuds? Or
No.
Okay, yeah, just go and come back. You good.
Leave my spot here. And Cole, you're gonna make me want to bring my sultry voice in this room today.
Oh, it's just my wake up voice. Sorry.
I got it, baby. She gonna make me go back and me to get it right. Cause save my spot. I'll be right back.
You got it. No problem.
I'm screaming.
I'm like, she don't gotta do all that. This. Y'all know me. This is me.
I
Yeah,
don't
but
I
think she's been
promise.
around
Once
you.
I get going for the day, I'm a lot more squawky.
No, she hasn't. She hasn't
Flossie
been
is
around you long
hilarious.
enough. That's why.
It is. My voice is, I mean, like, my voice is not a big voice at all, but I can be loudish. I think a lot of it is the tone of my voice falls into what your phone stifles. Because Diamond's been with me in person. I'm not that quiet.
The
and
comments are
not.
hilarious, y'all. The comments are so funny to me.
Dottie,
Somebody
you
said
settle down.
Um, okay, so we're gonna move right along. What's the one thing you were never? What's the one thing never taught? School never taught you that you had to learn on your own. Where did Jay? Oh, I was gonna say, where did Jay go?
Teaching, I don't think the school ever gives you. So I've been teacher for a lot of years at this point. Um, uh, they don't. It's either you know how to do it or you don't. Anybody can get a degree. I know people who got degrees and didn't know how to teach at all. Deliver a message to a child is not in their language of knowing how to do it.
Mhm.
So teaching.
I had to learn on my own. You have to meet people where they are.
Hmm.
Nobody, there isn't a place I've been other than church that has taught you that the way Miss Harris can get me to learn something is not the same way that Cole may be able to get me to learn something. And where I am is where you have to get to me in order for me to be able to get it. Some people cannot come up to you. Sometimes you have to, and I don't mean this in a condescending way. Sometimes you have to go down to them so that you can bring them up. And they don't teach you that in school. They don't teach you that. There is no, and I think that's where the education issue is they want everybody to learn this way. Some
Same way.
people learn this way. I am one of those people. I cannot learn this way. I can't. I want to, but I can't. And so I had to learn that meeting people where they are is going to get you so much further with them and others. And it'll teach you patience and how to get there. God knows I don't have patience, but it will teach you how to get the message across so that they understand, not just because you got the message out there, so that they understand it and they can apply it.
Okay, just to, yeah. Come, you can come on, Mika. Mama Nista, are you asleep? She's asleep.
Yeah, she is.
Her sleeping is
Okay.
diabolical.
My bad.
Okay, I was gonna say, I saw it in the chat, but I agree that they need to teach us how to do taxes and budgeting in school. Like that's something that they should teach us how to do our own taxes and how to budget. I mean, they taught me how to sew up some stuff and how to to type, and they taught me how to change my own oil, but they never taught me how to balance my checkbook. They never taught me how to actually budget for the
Really?
things that I want. Yeah. And when
Really?
I was going to school in the 1900s, that's the
Okay.
way it was. See, y'all,
1900
I went to
is
school in the
diabolical.
1900s.
I mean, it
I'm
depends
see,
on
gonna
who
have
you're
to
talking about,
fight
us
with you.
finishing school.
yeah.
Because
So
what's funny
like,
is I didn't learn the oil change thing, but they balancing your checkbook and
Uh huh.
but that was a
Right.
mandatory class for my school. That was
yeah, they
mandatory in
didn't.
high school. But changing my oil entire, mm-mm.
No, I
We had
knew
a
how
Okay,
daycare
to.
though.
so
I knew how to
all
change
those
my
life
oil,
skills
change
were
my
taught to
brakes.
me when I was in elementary.
Really?
Yeah, I wasn't taught none of
Uh,
that.
fourth and fifth grade, we learned about check writing, budget balancing, managing households. Um, Now, albeit I went to bougie schools, um, they wanted to prepare you for the world you were going to live in. And so we learned about managing your household, managing your checkbook, balancing your budgets, writing a check. understanding the purpose of insurance, income taxes. They had us doing activities in fifth grade where we did a market day, but part of market day was you had to pay from all this fake money you earned. You had to pay payroll taxes. You had to pay for your, if you had other people on your team, you had to pay their insurance. You had to pay out your staff. And then what was left was your profit.
That
Oh,
must
we
be
didn't get
nice.
that detailed, but we did get some of that. But I didn't get it until my
Mm-hmm.
sophomore year of high school, is when they started teaching us about budgeting for your household, what it looked like when you finished with taxes. But the depth that you got in fifth grade, they never gave us.
I got
Oh,
it in
that's
Never.
elementary school. I got it in middle school and in elementary in high school as well. We used to have a thing called Ameritown, and they made us learn how to start businesses. They made us learn how
Mm-hmm.
to
what
make.
schools y'all went to. I need to go to them school because baby, I'm gonna get tied
Right?
up then.
I think,
Right.
and I want to jump in on this one. It had a lot to do where they felt budgeting was necessary in the schools, right? Whether you went to a bougie school, whether you went to a hood
Public
school or
school.
whatever. Because back in the day when I was going to school,
When
and
we
I'm
went
old.
to school.
No, I'm older than everyone in here. So anyway,
I
neither here nor
digress.
there. I digress. Yes. But back in the day, and I went to a Catholic school, but I lived in an all black neighborhood, not of the hood, not any of the above, but an all black where I lived in segregated areas. I'm from Boston. That's just the way it was. C'est la vie. But what I did discover is the type of teacher that was in that school, the type
Mhm.
of financing that was provided to that school. Like Cole said, part of our regular training in the lower grades was actually analytics, strategy training, life skills. We had to learn, it's really funny when I think about it. Who sees the color dynamics of phonics anymore? Remember, you had to go from silver to aqua to red, da, 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 and climb your way up on your reading skills. You don't see that anymore. And when I was in high school, we had to take business classes. We had to learn how to dress to go to business classes. We had to learn how to do everything. These are the things that was a must have. Now, funding and financial circumstances says that, oh, we don't need this in the schools anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But
We
what?
don't need this. That's not really necessary. They don't need to learn how to eat or pay their bills, or they don't need to know the basics of these training. That's
They just need to know how to
unnecessary.
work.
Right.
Just like no one mentioned like time management is not taught in school.
Oh, no.
Career
What do you
building is
mean read a
not taught.
prompt is not taught in the schools anymore? Come on.
Job
Cursive.
Or cursive.
job hunting is not taught. Wasn't taught in
Can,
school.
can I can I ask a question?
Yeah. Go
Why
ahead.
do people feel that cursive is still needed?
It's supposed to be. I don't know why they feel it's still needed, but I feel like it should be needed because your signature identifies who you are as an individual.
But that's a
Um,
Okay.
signature. I mean, but I'm
yeah,
talking
but like
about
I
cursive,
mean,
a whole letter in cursive, or
I have to say because a lot of our documents that deal with
during the
like the
past.
Constitution, yeah, the things were written in cursive.
Well, in
And so
fairness,
if
they're
you
not teaching
don't
that,
teach
so we
it,
probably don't
yeah.
need it.
So it's just like if they don't know how to read, they don't know how to read it, then we don't have to follow that Constitution.
Thank you. I was just
That
going to say the same thing to Mika. A lot of our older documents are
are
written in
all
cursive, and
in
that's a good
cursive.
way to eradicate the ability to understand what took place back then. I can now eradicate that history if I don't understand it.
We're going to need to rebrand all of those. I know cursive to be clear, but I have shaky hands, so a signature verification for me never works because my hands shake and my signature never looks the same.
Girl, you just gotta adopt the Prince method. Make your signature a symbol.
I'm going to
It
get a
Yeah,
could be a
stamp.
symbol. That's what I'm saying. Like a signature could be a symbol
Mm-hmm.
now.
right.
Can I
And
be the
again,
person to say it?
I
I'm gonna be the
don't,
person to say it. Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
don't really think that it's about. And I'm tunnel vision in this area. I don't think it's about the ability to learn about cursive or having to learn it. I think it's ability to way another way of taking away history. Another way, if I don't teach you how to do this, you're not going to be able to understand the past. The past is going to be fragmented now. and it's not going to be accessible to you because you don't know how to do it, I can now wipe away some things that is in place, that is a strong dynamic on how we're living. So it isn't about the art or the learning, it's about the ability now to make some important pieces of history non-accessible to you because you don't know how to read it, you don't know how to do it, you don't. So it I don't want to make it too difficult, but if you
Because I feel
don't
I
know
get
how to
the
use it,
ability, but I also know that I've never went back on my own to go read any documents. Like I feel like there are people that will be historians that will learn how to do that and read that. But like me, I'm not gonna go back and try to read those documents for my history.
but you
And these
should.
kids
And I'm
now
gonna
will
tell you
drop it in
why.
Chat GPT and ask them to put it in print. Like,
That's true. But can it be translated incorrectly when they do that?
no.
That's my fear. It's like Chat
Chat GPT.
GPT, thank you, is a beautiful thing. But I was practicing with it just to play with it around. And understand this. Let me go ahead and start out. In July, I'll be 66 years old, right? So I'm playing with these are a lot of still new toys for me, what everybody does every day. But I get to see it from a different perspective. And when I put in my resume, let's say, and say, okay, turn it around and make it amazing. And what they did is they turned it around and they put in my strength in the DEI culture, right? Which is there heavily. But guess what's against almost against the law now? The DEI culture. So it looked amazing, but it actually, if I was to put that out in the universe now, it would totally and completely disengage me from being viewed at any job because of the fact that it spoke so strongly to the DEI culture. Another thing, Jay, the reason why I say we need to do it, that saying, and I'm gonna say it out loud. I hate to say it, but if you want to keep something from a black person, put it in a book. It's so true. If you
Yes,
don't
they've been
want to
saying that for
read
so
that,
long. Yeah.
if you don't want to read it, if you don't want to see it, if you don't want to study it, if you don't want to learn it for yourself, guess what? They now have it and they can hold that over your head. And one of the worst things that we do to ourselves is not wanting to go back and understand what is in effect for everyone as a people, what's out there, because they are eradicating a lot of that stuff now. And if we don't know and don't care, then we have no power to fight with.
So I know we
Okay.
touched on it. Uh,
I agree with that.
no, I know we touched on it earlier, but do you think the college degrees still hold value, or is experience more important now? Like degrees still matter, but they're no longer the only path.
I think it depends on what the degree is in my opinion.
I
Hmm.
agree with that because in
Absolutely.
computer science, you can have a master's, you can have a PhD, but if you don't have any experience, you're not going to get a job, even entry level.
I
I
think
think
I
And
think
I need a plumber with hands-on experience.
no.
Point blank period.
I think they you should value both in that sense because
there needs
you
to be a
don't know
balance
what
of
the
both.
you don't just like what Mika was stating earlier. It's oh, I got this degree, now I can go apply, but you really can't. You need the
Hmm.
experience. Oh, I got the experience. Oh, but you don't got a piece of paper, so you can't get this job. So I think there needs to be a balance of both. That you've acknowledged the knowledge in this field, but you've also spent some time and experience with that hands on. That's just me.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I just think
Definitely.
making a combination of a degree and relevant experience is more highly desirable. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I feel like that should be part of the college coursing though. Like you know how they're like, oh, it's entry level, so they want to pay you $12. And you're like, I spent 60 on this degree.
Right.
Like, if I have a
$300
four-year
book.
degree,
no,
18 to
Grandma.
24
You
months of
should
my
see
degree should be you requiring me and me going into that field, right? Like the same way with an internship. Yes, I
Right.
have it, but I need to be able to experience this. So it should be part of the curriculum. So, and that's learning how to apply for it, learning what to look for. And in this part of the degree or in this part of it, I should be able to take what I sat in this classroom and learned and figure out where it goes here.
Yeah.
Now I have it. So when I get out and I owe $85,000, you can't offer me $12 or $18 because you know what? I did this for 2 years whilst going to school and getting
And
the
now
degree. It
I'm
was
highly
part of it.
valued at a place that you need to pay me at.
Right.
Period.
You can't start me out making 3 times less than what this degree cost me because I have the experience on the job in the classroom experience, and some way or somehow there should be a space to pair it. If I sign up for this and I take it, I should be able to get that experience. So when I leave out of here,
I agree, energy.
I know what I'm looking for.
You have
And they
evidence of
know what they're looking for.
what you did.
Yeah.
I
Cause
like
how
what
many
Energy
nurses made
said.
up degrees? Not being funny, but there was a whole thing about nurses just making up degrees and going into the field.
I didn't. Listen, I know nothing about that. I'll just be in my own little. I'm just here for moral
My
support.
sister
I'm
went to
just here
school for
for more
nursing,
support.
and there was
I
people
did
with
too.
degrees they made up. They just
Yeah,
made them up. But she don't, cause if you knew it was something wrong, cause she couldn't poke
It
you
was
in the
like
right
six
place.
in the
6 times she poked you, and you like but you went to school for this. You didn't test on a dummy or nothing.
exactly. You don't have any of that hands-on experience. I like what Energy had to say. As a recruiter, she values both because potential and proof go hand in hand.
Absolutely agree.
And
Yes.
Yes.
and I feel like, as a hiring manager in the past, in my field when I was in the business arena, I looked for people who had experience and I really fought to get them in there. But then HR would always say, no, they actually need to have this degree. But then I pulled them in anyway. I'd always trying to find a workaround and get them in and still get them into that position, but they may have to work a little bit harder, a little bit longer. Okay. They may have to just go in as a key hourly as opposed to being a manager. But either way, they get their foot in the door. But that's somebody who believes in people whenever you are that type of position. And a lot of people don't do that, but I just believe in putting people in the right place on the bus.
But I think that's the hardest part of why people don't have jobs today is because they spend more time whether or not can you do this job and do I have to spend time training you? Because if I have to do that, then I don't want you in this building. Period. Point blank. I don't have the time to train you in any way possible, and I think that's the problem. If
You know
You
we
what's
got people who can't afford the degree. They
right.
simply can't afford it. You lose out on these amazing people who will take it or can learn it
yeah.
probably faster, but they can't afford it.
You know what's even scarier? Let's do the other dynamic on this. You have a person with a degree or two. You have the persons with the experience, 20 years plus. They walk into a field and they say, okay, I have to start all over. COVID is a good example of that when everybody was
Right.
Oh,
starting to
yeah.
come back into the workforce and they told them, oh, we're concerned that you are now overqualified. That word overqualified can be just the biggest knife tool you ever wanted to hear.
It was fun. Backstory. When I first came south, I'm originally from Long Island, but when I came south to South Carolina, I before I left New York, I was working for the IRS in criminal court cases. All I was doing was data entry. All I was doing was putting information in the data entry system. That's all I was doing. I came down here and applied for a job at a convenience store, and they told me I was overqualified. I was like, "How are you overqualified?" At the time, I just had certificates.
So we're in a convenience store. How dare you?
I didn't get the job because I was overqualified.
But then they don't tell
Girl,
you
the
why you're
first time that happened to
overqualified.
me, I was 16. All I wanted was a job real, real bad. I
That's
even applied. I was like, I want to work somewhere. And I was like, I'm going to try to work at McDonald's.
Right,
That
Barstool.
woman said, Boo Boo, no, this ain't for you. This is not your future.
But I felt like they was coming. They said that was their excuse for not hiring me because maybe the manager thought I was going to come for their job.
Right, probably.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part because you don't know if somebody's intimidated. You don't know if somebody's doing it for a
They
personal
were going to
reason.
tell you.
You don't even know. Mm-mm.
That comment was kind of crazy though. I think I see
Yeah,
that.
IRS.
Overqualified equals flight risk if you
Jay,
get bored.
I'll never forget
Jay.
going into into my job interview when I was going to work for Applebee's, and I was sitting across the table from Jim Broom, my district manager at the moment. And he was like, "So, what is it that you want to do?" I said, "I want your job." And he said, "Huh?" And I said, "Eventually, I want your job. So, I want to come on in this position, but I'm just letting you know I want your job." And he was taken aback, but he said that's the reason why he hired me was because he was like, "You just told me what you wanted and you were very honest." And I said, "That's all you're going to get from me is honesty." We
And
still have a
also an
very
early
good
eviction.
relationship now. Like, legitimately, we have like a very good friendship now, years later, now that I don't work for him. And he still calls me and, "Hey, T, what's up?" Like, "You still want my job?" I said, "Nah, I got my own business now. Like, you good. You know, like, I got my own stuff now. Like, I don't need your job anymore." But yeah, but you got to be like confident when you go into
You
these
do.
interviews
You
sometimes as
gotta own
well.
it. You do
Yeah, you
gotta
got to own
own
it.
it.
But you
Yeah.
also
But it
got to know
can
how to own
backfire
it
if you get the wrong
right.
person. It can
It
backfire if you
can.
get the wrong
But I think
person.
that's what you have to accept too. You have to accept the You shouldn't put expectations on what you're going in for. Go in, do what you need to do, but don't be disappointed in the fact that they chose not to choose you. And I've learned that
Mhm.
in now in this process that I'm in. As you guys all know, I resigned from my position as a teacher. I am now going into a next field, whatever that may be, praying, blah, blah, blah. But what I'm learning in actually applying for positions and things of that sort, it's not all about, there's a possibility it's not really because you don't qualify for the position. There's so many other factors of why you did not get the position in that space. And I have to change my perspective as I'm going on this journey, because if I don't, then I'm going to beat myself up.
Something that somebody just put in the thing said that we should just try to strive for honoring our own business. I can let you know right now I don't have an entrepreneurial bone in my body. I just don't. I think that we need to do the dynamics of understanding what is going to be the better fit for each individual. And that's the problem with education. We don't teach individually.
We
We teach
don't.
to the main,
Absolutely.
we teach to a larger number that really doesn't even exist anymore.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
So with that being said, we need to discover who does have that ability and desire
Yeah,
to be
right.
an entrepreneur, because both is needed on both sides. You need me in the business like I need you out the business. We work hand in hand. We are
But everybody needs to be
a
hungry for it
complete
too.
entity,
And
right?
don't down somebody who doesn't. Like, that's one of the things, as a person that tries to run her own business, I realized I really enjoy other aspects of it. But again, responsible teenager here. I don't want to do all of that all day. And you need somebody that's like, I enjoy that. My mom, that person, she want to be in the background. Me, I can give you ideas. I'm probably good at marketing for a little bit. I don't want to do this all day. And don't down me or look at me negative or put negative connotations on me, because it's not where I thrive. If you give
Right,
people, like Miss Wanda said, that's not her thing. But listening to her, she clearly excels in many other things. So
Right.
it's not bad. Like, you have to have customers, you have to have something to provide. You
right,
can't you
But
can't
which
function
goes
without
back
both.
to what education brings. It gives you a one-track mindset as if that's the only skill you need to apply for. When in all actuality, when you go into a space, and for example, I decided to go into education, but education brought me many other values and facets that I now have inquired about my own self. Even in this space where we come alive and we're talking to different people, it allowed me to change my perspective and be hungry for the exposure. You have to be hungry for the exposure. That's why Mika went. She was like, "Oh, you telling me I can't do it? Don't even worry about it, sweetheart. I took it by the reins and did it anyway." I think that's what needs to happen. We need to teach for hungerness. Like, do you want this or do you not? If you want it, we need to know what we need to do in order to get it. Period, point blank, without somebody feeling like, oh, I'm less than that person. Mind you, I had a mindset when I was a kid. I live in a hood. I'm not getting nowhere. This is why education became my scapegoat, because it would allow me the exposure and the opportunities that I didn't get as a kid when I was living in the hood. There was nothing. You become complacent when you live in an environment where there's nothing more than what it is. So once you do that, you then learn from different people. But I have to be hungry for it. I have to sit here and choose it myself. And I think that's the problem with society. They have not given the option to be hungry for something because there's always a limit of no, you shouldn't do that because somebody did do it. You oh no, you shouldn't do that. I don't think you're smart enough. That's complacent. Go ahead.
And what we
Sorry.
gonna do with a
I
room full
just
of teachers?
remember I just remember that day that I didn't get that job and I called my mama and I was venting. And when I tell y'all I was pissed, I'm talking about 38 hot, upset, right? She said, "So what you gonna do about it?"
Right.
I said, "I'm gonna call you right back." Crazy eyes and everything. Went on, found a school, applied. I'm like, "All right, I'm going to school. I'm gonna get my degree in this." She's like, "All right,
All
call
right.
your
Right.
husband." Yeah, but it was just like she's like, "What you gonna do about it?" But I also had somebody behind me that was always pushing me. I also
Mm-hmm.
have. I'm lucky that I'm blessed. I'm not lucky. I'm blessed that I have a spouse that's completely supportive of everything that I do.
Period.
You know what I mean?
I
And I
know
have
that's
a
right.
village of people around me, and I have a circle around me that no matter how small or big it is, these people are always pushing me. Like
They
when I
keep these
say
people
this
right.
degree is not my degree, it's everybody's degree. When we walk for this doctorate, it's gonna be an us thing. It's not gonna be
Right.
just about me. It's us.
We
Right.
You
all got an
know,
A.
I remember
Listen,
when Miss
praying
Harris was
grandmothers.
going to get her master's, and she's like, da 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 da. I'm like, girl, when we get it, we gonna get it,
Because the baby, listen.
baby. You remember?
We
We was like,
fall hard
oh,
for that,
we
okay?
was like, our
But
thesis went
again,
through, like
that's
we
the
got it.
thing. That's the thing. We chose to go get it.
Yeah,
I think we need to have a world full of people who's just gonna go get it no matter what it looks like, whether it's a entrepreneurship in a business, whether it's this new acquired movement. What I'm doing now, when I chose to resign from my position and move across the country, I wasn't looking for anyone to validate the decision I made. I made it 10 toes down for me and for me only. Now I was blessed enough to have a lot of people behind me like, oh my God, I'm so happy for you. You did it. And that's the thing that we need to be happy for. Like
yeah.
I had a student who very difficult working in my class, very difficult. I mean, listen, we had a love hate relationship, but we're not gonna talk about that. But when he got a 17 out of 20 on my test, the way he was excited, I said, see, that's all you have to do. You have to try. You got, but just that little encouragement. We have to be mindful, even adults in the most struggling spaces also need the encouragement, whether you agree with it or not. Have a listening ear to actually have a conversation like, okay, so you're doing this, why are you doing it? What's the benefit of it? So we can actually feel some type of hungerness to do it.
And
And
this is why we
Afrocare,
need teachers like Miss Harris. That right there.
Afrocare, Afrocare is putting a lot of statements in the comments. I don't know if you guys are noticing yet,
Oh
but
yeah, I see
the
it.
only thing that I want you to hear, Afrocare, is we understand that those that are trying to go
Thank you, Angie
whichever
Boo.
route that there's opportunities or the lack of opportunities there, but entrepreneurship, which I push as well. I just don't have the bone. But those
Right.
who have it, I push it. So let's not negate either side because we are necessary to each other. You need somebody in the big house, as they say, in order to be able to understand the workings so that you can take that information and now transplant it outside on whether you're going to garner your escape or not. You need to know who's going to be the
Absolutely.
the person on duty or when the duty changes or when the stripes are. I mean, I'm being funny, but I'm not being funny. We need people on the inside as much as we need people on the outside. And if we got those that are on the inside that really want to do their own thing and we train them towards that, now we're opening up doors all the way around. We're opening
There
up
you
doors
go.
for those entrepreneurs. But unless, sir, as an entrepreneur, you got to have people that's going to work for you.
For real.
And you want
So
people that
you're kind
want
of
to
talking
work, not
yourself
have
out of
to.
your own staff.
Right. Absolutely agree.
Hey,
I'm sorry,
Diamond.
Simon.
Okay, yeah, I just want to reiterate what the topic is today, and is why does society
I'm
deem
sorry.
academics as a negative? That is today's topic. I want to thank you all for being here. I appreciate you. Thanks for the gifts. Thanks for gifting the panel. Um,
Thank you.
I love this conversation. I love that y'all are here. And J2, you've been in the corner quiet for a minute. I want to hear from you.
Jay woke up like that, period. Did you see my comments
I want to
just
hear from you
yesterday?
because you got a daughter in college. You've
Well, I
had
know some of the questions, so I'm just listening. I do have a daughter in college. I'm proud of her. She's gonna be graduating a whole year early. She's going straight through to get her master's. Um,
Period.
and
I
That's
got
how
a
you
daughter
do
in
it.
college. Yes.
so
I didn't do it like that, but I tell her like, "Hey, you doing it for the family," but without putting
Right.
the pressure on her. Without putting the pressure.
It's a
because the
team
last
effort.
I
question
mean,
that
you
I
still
asked,
look good working through it.
the,
Period.
the last question that I asked was, do you think college degrees still hold value, or is experience more important? That was the last question I asked.
It depends on what you want to do. I feel like it's valuable if you want to go in to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer,
Hmm.
uh, different things like that. I'm not saying that it's not important, but trade school is just as important.
Absolutely agree.
And just getting any type of education, whether it's certificates, because even in my old age of 43 years old, I'm finding
Google
that
ain't old.
education is still needed, and it doesn't mean I need to go to college.
Right.
I just need
Period.
to.
Right. Because I'm gonna
Yeah,
tell you, even with the degree, you still have to get certifications to do certain things within your field.
Hmm.
Mm.
and
Like,
that's
period.
what I was saying to Jay too a few days ago. It's like I don't see myself going back to school, but I do want to take a couple of courses. Like
And you
marketing is one
should.
of them, but yeah,
But
I don't. Yeah, I just
I'm not
I
just
want to tune y'all into a little life hack that I recently found is if you enroll in a membership to your local library, almost every library in the country gives you free access to LinkedIn Learning, where you can become certified in things
Oh,
without having to go to school. And all you have to do is sign up for a membership for your local library.
oh wow. That's nice to
I'll be
know.
doing that this afternoon. Thank you very much.
I was just going to
You're
mention
welcome.
that
Megan,
sometimes
I'm gonna step out.
education doesn't have a certificate or a credential behind it.
You
It
heading out,
can
Mama
just gain the
Tawana?
knowledge.
Go ahead.
please say that again, Soul Star. If you're not learning, you might as well just go ahead and curl up and unalive.
Right. You're not even living. I've
Plain
been learning that
and
for a
simple.
long
I feel
time.
like learning should be and it doesn't even have to be talking about like book wise. You should just be curious to have just a curiosity about you. But if you don't, then go to the people that do. And we can't be gatekeepers with the information. We need to teach the ones who can't go to school or don't learn the way that we learn in a way that they can learn. You know, anything you want to know confidential, Miss Tawanda, Cole, Miss Harris, Aquarius, Diamond, J2, I'm gonna let you know. If I know it, you got it.
Right.
Great. I
Period.
Plain and
just followed
simple.
you because I
I
got
will
a lot of
say one of
questions
the
for you.
I think Mama
one of the
Tawanda trying
best
to leave
things you
as
can
well,
do
Mika.
is surround yourself with people
You leaving,
that
Mama?
are there for you, that are your cheerleaders. Because I know Mika don't like it when I do it, but I am her number one advocate for get your stuff done.
I
And
absolutely
it's
love
not
that.
just for her education, it's when we were really heavy into agency stuff. I'm like, why are we sitting here on a phone call talking when you could be doing this on live, getting your hours done?
right. So, have any of you ever felt judged for having a degree or not having one?
Oh, I
Yeah.
feel judged all the time for not having one. All the time. I actually had a person state, if you don't have a degree at this age, what are you doing with your life? And I was like,
Wow.
life is life in the fuck out of me right now. So to say that because I don't have a degree beyond my high school degree really made me feel for a minute, because my confidence had to come back in the room. For a minute, I was like, what does that even mean? And I got my attitude together because I definitely called and was like, I make twice as much as you. But that was at the time. And the Lord humbled me because He snatched my little pay real quick. But that's okay. I'm learning my lessons, right? But I feel like I get judged all the time. But I don't. I know this from experience and attempts. I don't learn well in a classroom. I just don't. but I feel very much judged. A lot of positions that I know I will excel in, they're like, oh, you don't have a degree, you don't have a certification. 95% of the time, if you put me in a space with the person that you have that you're trying to replace, I am going to do better than what they are doing within my first couple of days.
Right, but you have to fight for that.
But I have to
You
have
do.
somebody willing to take that chance or willing to be
Correct.
okay with that. And I understand, I struggle with that, but I understand that I am in this position right now because learning later that I don't do well in it and trying to decide if I'm going to make that jump or get over that fear. So I feel judged all the time. And I have a lot of family members that are like, just go get a degree. And I'm like, y'all just don't understand. I didn't learn how to read until I was in third grade at all. Like I read on kindergarten level until I was almost in fourth grade. So that fear that someone's going to see where I may be flawed, even though I love reading, it has crippled me in a lot of spaces.
Yeah.
So feeling that judgment every day, or especially because half my family's career is in education. My grandmother's taught disability and behavioral 20 plus years. I don't have it. I don't learn the way that they do. I've had people ask me to be lawyer, ask me to be debate, ask me to be I can't embarrass myself or the people that I'm supposed to represent. So I
Right.
feel the judgment all the time.
Energy said a
I
degree
feel the
doesn't
judgment
define
all
your
the time.
value. Your work speaks
Oh,
louder.
they've created
Exactly.
programs for people like you in within the network of college, and they're called academic partnerships, where they adapt to where you are in life.
They also have something called special accommodations. As
Uh
being
huh.
neurodivergent, I actually had to because I my mind is just all over the place all the time. So for me, it takes me a little bit longer for me to get a paper done. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to get the paper done. It just means that I can't sit there for long periods of time and type. You know what I mean? Like, I can't just sit there and be like this, because if I'm sitting there and I'm looking at somebody in their class and I can't walk around, you've lost my attention after the first 5 to 10 minutes if it's not
Yep.
engaging. So they do have something called special accommodations that will help you if you were to choose to do so. You don't have to,
Hmm.
because you've got experience and you doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? A degree does not define you or make
Right.
you any better or any less at all. Because I know some of the best people that do most of the hard work, and
Absolutely
some of
agree.
the most brilliant people that have contributed to society never went to college.
Yep.
But just somebody took a chance on them.
Yeah, somebody took a
Absolutely.
chance, or they just knew something and somebody listened to them and they were like, hey, I got this idea, you
Yep.
know? And some of the most, I mean, the things that we use right now, people that didn't even go to college, don't even have a degree, created this stuff.
Exactly.
So,
Absolutely agree.
yeah,
That's why I
you
talk.
know,
That's why I talk to everyone because you never know. Like I can
yeah.
talk to the CEO and act like the CEO with him, like period. But I don't
I
need to
mean,
know what that feels like. I just need you to know how confident I am in the space that I'm in. I
And
agree.
I'm
that's how
like,
we feed imposter syndrome too. We say, "Oh, I can't." It's not good for me. I also am not fit for a typical classroom setting where they're going, milestone by milestone. You gave me anxiety at the first part. I need to know the ending, and then I'll figure out how you got there. Like I need to walk out on second 30. Like I need to leave. But I got through college, and the best setting that I found was online classes because I could skip to the end of the chapter and go, "Wow, that's wild. How'd you do that?" And then go back through and skim and take my notes and be like, "Okay, you're weird," or whatever happened, and I have the concept. But because I'm such a visual person, you're 20 to 50 pages of text and bullet points and all these inferences, it doesn't make sense to me. But if I go and see, like, what's the point and why and where you apply it, to Dime's question earlier, what we don't learn in school is we're going to teach you all these things, but we're not going to tell you why and where to apply it. Like, why do I need to know this and where you're going to apply it? And guess what? You might not, because you learn history and you may or may not ever apply it. You learn some very technical math and you may or may not ever apply it. But if you are going to apply it, I would appreciate knowing why I need to know what n equals.
Because I still ain't used the Pythagorean theorem and I'm 37. I've yet to use it. And I know people that know how to use it but can't say it. Like,
I will tell you, the weirdest moment I had was a couple years ago when I moved out here. I actually used Pythagorean theorem.
what did you use it for? And I'm so serious.
Okay, and it's the weirdest thing. I used it to figure out exactly how much turf I needed in my backyard.
Get the hell out of here.
What?
I
Now the
did
nosy in me is like, what happened?
Did
But
it
we
work?
You know what? I didn't even think
because,
about that because I was just doing my garden and I didn't even realize
yes,
that I resulted over to that through. Maybe we're using stuff and
yes,
we don't even recognize when we're
you
using
use it in
I don't
landscaping
own any property, land, or
constantly
nothing. I
because I
promise you
had
I
to
didn't use
figure
it.
out, based on the number of animals that I possess versus the number of animals that visit my home, because my brother comes over with his pets, how much space of my backyard needed to be turf in order to adequately provide space for the kids to play, but the dogs to go to the bathroom and meet the criteria to get reimbursed for desert scaping my backyard.
I have never
So,
used it. I've
so
never
I
had to
ended
do
up
that.
with like, okay, I needed 300 square feet of turf based on all my calculations. And then the rest of my yard can be stone and rocks. But I never realized it until I was sitting there drawing it out, and I was like, "Oh my god,
Yeah,
this is a squared plus b squared equals c squared to give me square footage."
so
Wow.
sad. That's
Nope.
cap.
I've never
Look,
used it. And thank you for verifying and solidifying that I'm not crazy. I've never used it. I am such a convenience person. Give me that. And I'll work the hours I need to work to pay you for it. Because I believe in paying for the service.
Yeah,
Has anyone else ever felt judged for not having a degree or having one? I mean, we heard from a console.
I've had judgment with having one. I've been in a space where having one because I've been a part of people who was complacent in their space. Getting a high school degree was none like you didn't need to have it, and like my all of my sisters and my brother they all dropped out of high school. One or two got their GED after, but that was just what it was. So for me, it was like, oh, now you think you're better than us. And I was like, well, no, I'm just trying to be better for us. It was no than us at
Oh,
all.
beautifully put.
So I've learned in life is that I'm not sitting here trying to be better than anyone. I'm just trying to be better for someone so they can actually see outside the box that they've been placed in. So I was judged, and sometimes I'm still judged based on the community I'm in, as if, oh my God, those are big words for Elmo. Like now you think you can speak better than us. No, not necessarily. I was just exposed to different language. Relax.
Yeah, I
So when
don't
you
think
say you felt that judgment, you felt it from like family. Like I was trying to think about like what environment do you feel it in
So
work?
So it was from family. It has been from people that I've come across with. You got to remember, it's sometimes it's in a space where people feel the ignorance of understanding. I guess you can call it. It's those type of people, as if they are they feel less than already of their own insecurities. So when you go out and you're like, so I did feel it at, I felt it at, with my family. I felt it with certain people that I grew up with. I also felt it at certain places depending on where I taught at. It just depends.
for me, um, I have to go way back when. Like growing up in the hood, like you touched on what you said earlier, like I felt stuck. Like I felt like because that's the environment I was in, that there was no room for growth there. You have people around you that was graduating high school, going to college, but that in my head that didn't click because that wasn't going to be for me. However, I did drop out of high school. I dropped out in the 12th grade because I didn't like it. I did not. I went my 11th grade year is 180 school days. I went to school 90 days in my 11th year. At the beginning of my senior year, I was just I can't do it no more. I'm not going to do it. I had my mom sign me out. Thank you for the heart, me. Sign me out. We start school in September in New York, so that's she signed me out in November because I was done. Either I was not going to show up at class or I wasn't going to show up. But I went and I got my GED that same November. That January, I went to a business school, and that's when I took I took up I guess like basic administration courses classes. I probably got about 30 certificates out of that school, but that's how I got the job with the IRS. No experience, just certificates. Now I did what I could have done. I could have stayed. They wanted me to stay, but I didn't take the civil exam to stay with the government.
Mm.
And then that after that, that's when I left to come south and was overqualified for a convenience store job. But saying that to say, I was one of those who felt stuck and couldn't get and but I was praised for because I got out. I was one of the ones that got out. So the community that left, or the people that I left from around, praised me because I was one who got out,
Mm. Nice.
but without a degree, just as a certificate. And I don't. Can y'all still hear me?
Hmm.
Oh, okay, because it got silent.
It did
But
get really quiet all of a sudden.
yeah,
No, you just got really, really clear. Like there was a little bit of
I
background
heard.
noise happening from
Yeah.
somewhere, but it just stopped.
Yeah, there
Okay.
was
Yeah, I heard
definitely
that.
static for a second.
I was like, "Can y'all
Hmm.
hear me?" But so,
Yeah.
so just it was just to say that I was praised for not having a degree, but getting out. Oh, okay.
Oh,
So, final question, and then if y'all have any questions, please feel free to ask. What's your biggest critique of academics today? Either are you go ahead, Tawanda.
My biggest, and I announced it when I first got on, is the fact that we are stagnant in the way that
Unmotivated. That's what I was
learning
talking
has not been evolutionized in any shape, form, or fashion. Like I said, we've updated the tool uses. We will add computer knowledge into it. We will use these things, but we are still. And the worst thing about it is that we no longer we teach children to research. No, we teach children to search, but not research. Meaning that you can search on Google, first answer you get, you're satisfied. We do not teach our children how to research or to study information on their own. It is so stagnated. It has not had any upgrades to the system at all. So that is my main thing. It just has not been. It's just solidified in its own thought process.
about. Val, was you trying to come up? Wasn't sure she was trying to come up or not.
You got it,
Mika.
Mika.
Yeah, I'm muted because my background a little bit loud.
Okay.
I have two things. It's too expensive and not hands-on training. These degrees, they need to do some hands-on training. More, more like internship should be required for every degree, as far as I'm concerned. Like you should have to actually do the work before you actually graduate. You know what I mean? Like even if it's a semester of just doing a residency somewhere, if you're getting your business degree, working at somebody's office or something like that, just so that you can get that hands-on training. That's the only thing that I would say they need to do a little bit more of.
I agree. It should be
I
50-50
agree.
internship and book.
And
50-50.
the internship should be
Split.
provided. It should already be set up in part of the curriculum with somewhere for y'all to for us to do it. But I agree completely.
I guess my one critique would be, I don't know. I feel like a lot of, and maybe that's because how America made us, but I feel like we should take charge in what we teach our kids, or our nieces, our nephews, the children in our environments, versus just focusing on what the school's teaching and what they're not learning anymore. I see a lot of opportunity where um, we can reach back to our communities, because I feel that is the number one critique, is that we have success from lots of communities that need it, but it doesn't, those resources and that money, it doesn't come back to it. We don't go back to our community.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Jay, because I definitely teach my nieces and nephew things that they're just not going to learn here. I grew up in the country and in the South, and part of my elementary education was farm skills. And you basically learned fishing and hunting and caring for farm animals and caring for a ranch. Like, those were just life skills they taught you, because growing up in the South and in a rural town, those were skills that you needed to have. And it, I've realized even over this past week, I have to keep teaching them more of those skills, because my niece is fully convinced that I know how to talk to geese. She's like, I didn't know you spoke goose, because I knew what to do to keep the geese away from us while we were fishing.
Is it the ka 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 ka?
Please help
And
me
I'm
off
like,
this floor.
and I'm just like, I was just looking at her, and I made the geese go away. And then she's like, Auntie Cole, you speak goose? Oh, wow. You speak 3 languages. And I'm just looking at her, and I'm in disbelief, because I'm like, girl, you don't know how to make a goose stop attacking you? Like,
No.
I realized, like, yeah, it's a skill you get in the South, but at the same time, I'm like, I learned this when I was 7 years old.
I
She's
ain't
6 and
never
she's clueless.
listen. I ain't never met a goose in California ever in my entire life. And so I went to North Carolina. I said, "What are those?" And I was 26 years old.
Wow.
Cole, can I have that secret? Because for some reason, like I jive with all animals, but geese chase me and bite me in my rear. So, like, what's
Uh,
the
Wait a
word you
minute. Where
said?
we not gonna go?
Like, what's the word? How do you make
okay,
them go
so
away?
it's a weird thing, but you have to hit the ground with enough impact for them to believe you can hurt them.
Ah, okay.
She said they
I'm
chase
sorry.
her.
I'm sorry. What? We have to do what to the ground?
You hit the ground, like whether you do it with your foot or like I was doing it with a fishing pole. It's you hit the ground with enough force that they feel it in their feet.
So I have to create an earthquake.
You have to move
Wait,
them for
First of
real.
all, energy. Listen,
you
when
have to
I
see
say
me.
how
You
are you
see me
getting that
before.
close is crazy.
My best friend is terrified of birds, specifically geese. I've never. Oh my god! Thank you. Oh, I can't wait to tell her.
Go ahead, Miss.
Like,
Go
even
ahead,
the
Miss
gesture
Wanda.
of stomping your foot in a bigger manner is going to startle them away from you.
We got to call. We
Now
got to
I
text her.
Go ahead, Mr. Wanda.
oh God.
I want to add on to what Miss J said when we were saying that we want the community also to have a portion of the learning or the attribution to learning. We want to be careful on that one. If COVID didn't teach us anything, it taught us how many mamas and daddies and folks that shouldn't have had their children at home, that should have let somebody that
Well,
had
yes,
experience and knowledge and all that.
absolutely.
So we don't want, I mean, I think everybody has something to offer, but we just don't want it to be left up to that resource that might not have the knowledge either. But there is always Big Mama down the street that knows how, as Cole said, knows how to work in the garden, right? There's always uncle down the street that can work with anything electrical or the car or things like that. So if you're bringing that just don't leave it to the hands of everybody, because we know. Let's
So
be honest. We know. Like I said, COVID showed us that there's some children now that have just digressed in their education field. But I love the fact that Jay said the community needs to be more involved, because there's so much knowledge in our community. We
Or
just
just
want the
even
right people.
opportunity, just
Yeah.
opportunity to connect more. Because, right, I may, as a parent, may not know what I need to teach my kids, but there's resources, and that people like to spread. There's a lot of people, even on this app, they want to help people. I want to help. I want to help. Well, start in your community.
I agree.
Yeah.
We got to start to find value in actually providing the next person with the exposure of education. I think that's the hard part is that people spend more time trying to, oh no, I need to take care of myself. I need to take care of myself. But at the end of the day, if Mama Tawanda took her skill of planting and somebody else wants to learn and they don't know anything about it, she's like, okay, let me teach you the basics really quick. Just like I'm not gonna hold you. I was on here saying, you know what? I'm from California. They didn't teach me how to make a good biscuit. One of the girls was like, just travel over here. I got you, girl. Like, so it's just the matter of actually coming together and finding value with each other and knowing that if we sat here and went to an area and we created this compound. I know Jay mentioned it some time ago. We was talking about it where we actually got together. Oh, baby, we'll be out here living our best life. But the problem is with people, they don't spend time to sit here. You know what? Let me cultivate the communication. Let me cultivate the unity. Let me cultivate. Oh, this is my skill. Let me teach the next person. People are spending more time. Oh, that person got cancer, and I don't want to be. We need to be 6 feet at this point. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Easier coming on here to say, hey, you know what? I got a skill. Let me do it. Or I got this skill. Let me do it. But you have to change your mindset in order to deliver a skill.
Hmm. It's just like as simple as plumbing, because we can say history, but I'm a independent woman. We talk about that, right? So if something breaks in my house, I have to pay a plumber, $2,000. When if I had a community, I know that I just need to buy a little old this and I could put it in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
Ooh,
you have to
yes.
seek it though, and I think that's the other balance. If you want it, you have to seek it, and when you seek it, hope that you find the right person who's willing to give it to you. We're
Mm-hmm.
Right.
not all
Gotta deliver
exposed
it.
to the same thing. Like there are moments that I'm like, oh, I need to change a tire. Somebody had to teach me that. But baby, I ain't putting my nails is done. I ain't doing the change tires. But I'm just telling
That
you,
See,
part.
I'm not
if I
changing the
That
oil, but I
part.
if
can
I
change my
had
tires
to,
and
I
do a
would
tune
have
up.
the ability to do so. And I think that's the problem. There are people and children who are not hungry for something to
Aquarius,
think.
YouTube.
They're just going with whatever the flow because no one's telling them like, hey, by the way, you don't go have to go buy the balloon from somewhere. You can
Mm-hmm.
actually create them this way, or whatever the case may be. I'm just,
It's like a lack of inspiration. There's no
yeah, there's no inspiration to go do nothing. No one told me that education should be valued. I just
gotta
went
be
to go do it.
exposed.
Yes, exposure is big in everything you do. I don't care if we need to learn or we don't, but you have to be exposed. Just like Cole, all of a sudden she Dr. Doolittle, but she was exposed to it herself.
I'm never going to unhear Dr. Doolittle.
If
Okay,
you knew the magnitude of how that resonates
but what I
with my name.
Listen, and the way I just ran and text my best friend, like, oh, I just learned something to help you.
But what I'm saying, but she had to be exposed to that in order to know,
Mhm.
like, oh, okay, let me go ahead and make a earthquake under a goose. That's crazy. I'm not even getting close to you because who you is human at this point. We are not biting. You're not biting my ass. That's crazy. So it's
Part
just
about
that.
this is you want to blend education, academia with knowledge, right?
Yeah.
And a desire
Let's
for
think
it.
about our old fashioned cooks. I'm big mama in the house, right? But I had a big mama for real, right? She knew how to throw a biscuit together. She knew how to, there was nothing in the kitchen that she couldn't do. She could show us how to do it. Sometimes it was by touch, by feel, and if you didn't get that, you didn't get it. But now where academia come in is science. I now know why baking soda works. I know
Yeah.
why there were certain things that why warm water or warm temperature egg work better in making this bread. So there's the combination of the two. I got Big Mama in the house that can bake anything, do anything, but she couldn't tell me the dynamics behind it or why it worked. All she knew is that it did. And when I went over to the science side of it, I now go, oh, okay, I see why this is valid, or I see
Yeah.
why even so much as planting during the full moon. If I understand the science factor behind that, it makes all the
Absolutely.
sense. Well, my seeds are going to do better, things like that. So
Absolutely.
that's the blending of the two.
That's why I said you need both. You need a balance of both because it allows you to understand why the baking soda does what it does. And now you know, oh, and now I can put this out there. I can go ahead and do so. I
Oh, I can't wait for next week.
If
Y'all
you,
done taught me 6 new things.
I'm with Miss Wanda when it comes down to that cooking. Like
Bobby,
for me, my palate
hold
is
on,
very
sorry. Before I go
international. So
left,
I
I
like to
gotta
try
go.
different type of cuisine.
Okay. Thank you, Miss
Italian,
Harris. Love you.
Japanese, see you, Miss Harris, and all that type of stuff. So I don't know. I go live, and when people ask me what I'm cooking and how I'm cooking it, I just give them a play-by-play.
But Val, I know you're late to the party, and as we wrap things up, the topic today was about society. Why does society deem academics as a negative? Did you have any questions or statements you wanted to make on that? Oh,
Um,
I think we should go.
I feel like society deem academics as a negative because they don't want us to reach our full potential as human beings, just to know more than what they've allowed us to know, or more than what they've kept us in this educational box to know. They don't want us to come outside of that box that they put us in and learn more and just be more self aware when it comes down to knowledge. So I just feel like, that could be a take on it all. Mommy, we told.
A piece of it.
Yeah.
I was
Anybody
gonna
else?
say
Go ahead.
nothing. I wasn't gonna say anything. I was about to say, and then
Oh, no, I was. Anybody else wanted to talk about their critique on academics today? Like before I wrap things up, y'all have any questions that y'all want to ask the teacher?
I'd
well,
like
I
to
just
say
I want to
something.
motivate people. If you have a platform, inspire your platform to move outside of social media. Move outside of social media and be the change that we want to see, that we talk about, because it starts with us. And
I
if
like
you and
outside of
if you are
social
lucky
media.
enough to have a platform, use it wisely.
I would want to share with everybody is that I think with going back to the topic of negativity in academia, for us as a race, and I'm going to speak for what I know, right?
Mhm.
I'm not, I don't live in that world. I don't, I'm a part of that world only from the outside looking in, and I will always be on the outside. But academia, we've allowed people to frighten us in that ability. I love that Tamika said I'm a healer, right? But also at the same time, she says I'm going to learn how to do it. You can't tell me that I'm not going to learn how to do this, right? So she knows that her natural ability is as a shaman, healing touch, whether it be sound vibrations, whether it be actual touch, whether it be herbal medicines, whatever it might be. But she also said, I'm not going to put it in that dynamic. I'm going to learn to speak the lingo that is necessary for my growth. So I'm going to go to the academic side of it. And I think for us, we've been told so often that we might not be smart enough, bright enough on what we're doing every day, but we don't know why we're doing it, right? We don't understand, and we might not be able to explain the theory because that's what academia is theories. We know that, right? It
Mhm.
is the understanding of theory. So I can show you how to plant the seed. I can show you what direction it should be. I can show you to say, hey, this one needs sunlight, whatever. But now, if I can provide the theory behind it, I can talk to two levels of individuals. And so we need to stop we need to stop allowing people to make us fearful of our own knowledge and broaden it. And if I can add it from both ends, then I'm going to be a double entendre, as they said. I'm going to be a powerhouse. And we need to walk in our knowledge of what we already know. We already know this. Now just add that little extra layer. Do not be afraid of it. Then there will be no negative. The negative is the fear of them gaining
of us gaining the extra knowledge.
All right, guys, I'm just going to go ahead and do the outro. Um, so the disconnect is clear. Academia can be empowering, but it can also feel exclusionary. When knowledge becomes a privilege rather than a right, people rebel against the system. So thank you all for tuning in to 31 Voices. Whether you a PhD or self-taught, your voice matters, your journey matters, and your wisdom holds weight in or out of a classroom. Education is not the filling of a pail, but the light of a fire. And that quote was by William Yeats. So the future belongs to you, and who you believe is the beauty of your dreams.